I'm a new grandmother as of last year. And so applying all of this, when Source brings us here, we have everything we need. And so when does that stop? And when could we try to develop that in our children? I mean, adolescents think they have it, they go for what makes them feel good. Babies do too. But where's that line, and when do we, as teachers, as their caregivers and love, where do we step in to nurture that or to gear them, or can we?
Well, really, as you wisely said, they have it when they're born. And so when does it start fading and why? Well, it starts fading as they start being convinced by those who surround them that what those who surround them think about what they're doing and where they are is more important than what they think. It's those formative years where those of you who got here first think that you must form the newcomer. We would like you to understand that the environment itself is going to be the platform which will cause some forming, but usually that attempt to guide them is the very thing that begins then to squelch their own guidance system, because the first thing that those of you who are trying to instruct the newcomers do is you take on the attitude that you know better than they do, and you don't acknowledge their own personal guidance system at all. So you disregard almost completely their awareness of their vibrational relativity, and you say to them, don't be selfish and don't worry so much about how you feel, and be more aware of others and be more considerate of others, and the do unto others as you would have others do unto you is a better way of saying it, because it does get you to sort of think about what you would like. But really, if adults could leave their children to themselves more, you would not be so likely to lose your sense of guidance. Let's get at the heart of this, because it's well-meaning that parents and teachers and governments are doing, churches. It's well-meaning, but here is the basic flaw in their perspective. If I am in my physical body, I naturally want to feel good. I was born wanting to feel good. And when I look at circumstances that make me feel good, I like that. And when I look at circumstances that cause me to feel bad, I don't like that. So there is a tendency in the human environment to then come to a conclusion, and we understand it, it's a valid conclusion, that if we could control the conditions that either make us feel good or feel bad, then we'd have a better chance of feeling good more of the time. So societies work hard at controlling conditions, but it's an impossible task. They fail at it miserably. And so they don't find their happiness through trying to control conditions. In fact, they get feeling more and more insecure as they discover their inability to control conditions. But in the process, they take themselves and everybody that they're teaching away from their own guidance, which says, pay attention to the way you feel and guide yourself accordingly, you see. So Esther watches granddaughter Kate. She's 3 and perfect. And joyful. Absolutely. And happy and eager and rarely disconnected. And when she is, it's her dominant desire to get back into connection. In other words, it's so easy to coax her back into connection. And so we would say, if there is a hand that you as a mentor or someone who loves someone wants to play, let it be that you understand that they have points of vibrational relativity, and you understand that they have a source within who's calling them toward well-being and abundance on all things that they consider to be good. And that if you can let your dominant intent be to soothe them or cajole them or to teach them or to encourage them or to teach through example, that they have guidance within, and that they can feel when they are in alignment with it, then you have given them the greatest gift that you could ever give. And words don't teach. You've just got to teach that through the power of your example. Mm-hmm. One night, Kate's mother, Tracy, Esther's daughter, Kate is waking up in the middle of the night, and she's begun sleeping in her own bed, which everybody is happy about. And now she's waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and going and crawling in with mom and dad. And they find it disruptive to their sleep, and it's not what they want to encourage long term. So Tracy, in her wanting to find some means of controlling Kate's behavior, said to Kate, Kate, you know, Grandma Hicks would be very sad if she knew that you were not sleeping in that beautiful bed that she bought for you. And Kate thought about it for a minute and then said, Grandma Hicks is never sad.
Awesome.
And Esther loved hearing that, because that's the example that she wants to offer to Kate. She does not want to motivate Kate to behavior based upon unhappiness. And as soon as the words came out of Kate's mouth, Tracy began to laugh, because the last thing in the world that Tracy wants to do is to guide her in that way. It just sometimes seems in this world that you live in that it's easier to guide people through fear or by helping them to push against what they don't want than by calling them toward what they do want. And this little teacher, Kate, is not so far from knowing that that doesn't work with her. And so she just explained the flaw of her mother's reasoning, you see. And so the little ones will teach you, really.
Absolutely.
And it takes quite a bit of doing to hammer out of them their desire to gravitate toward what feels good. It takes a lot of influence. But parents are good at it, teachers are good at it, society is good at it. But the little ones that are coming forth these days are coming with a stronger determination to follow their own guidance.
Indeed.
And systems and societies and parents are having a more and more difficult time of getting them to let loose of the guidance that they feel so strong and replace it with something artificial. And as time goes by, the dilution ratio is really a wonderful thing, because people set in their ways and remembering how it was when they were living the hardship of childhood are croaking and going out the other end, and the new self-empowered ones are coming in. And so the whole mass consciousness is being more diluted with what some would worry is a more selfish nature. And we say, why fight the current of the way the entire universe is established? And we really want to speak to that the reason that when you ask for something that it is given immediately is because Source knows that there is no one better than you to know for you what is best for you. The evolution of every species is about this personal preference that is born from where I am standing, even if I'm the one-celled organism in the ocean. In other words, my perspective is known more clearly by me than by you. And so no one can choose better than me, and Source knows that and rushes to fulfill that desire. And that's why things evolve. And so we would say to the little one, you should know. You know best what you want. And parents worry, my children would eat only candy, they say. And we say, not unless they have been told that they should not have something that makes them infinitely curious about it, not unless you're holding something away from them that they want to explore. But if you allow them to explore from their own place of connection, they will gravitate to what is best for them. There are things in all kinds of food substances that their cellular bodies are craving and calling for that are beneficial. You just worry too much as human parents about the well-being of our children. And if you could worry less and get out of the way more, their natural resourcefulness would triumph, and they would show you what genius energy is born into their little bodies and how natural it is for them to thrive and move forward from the magnificent platform on which they are born. What parents don't seem to understand is that the environment that surrounds them is full of informational choices, and that if they are allowed to sample without interference, that their own natural instincts will always cause them to gravitate toward the best well-being that is possible for them. But that if they interfere and say, no, 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 you must not, that now they have distorted the perspective of the individual, and now rebellion will often guide them rather than guidance guiding them, you see. You ever had anybody tell you, no, you will not? And don't you say, well, let's just see about that?
Absolutely.
In other words, you are self-actualized, self-perpetuated, self-realizing source energy in the perfect environment to make your choices. And others who believe that they are more capable of making your choices are robbing you of your life, and you know it. And you kick up a fuss. And then you kick up a fuss, and then they control you more, and then you kick up a bigger fuss, and they control you more, and you kick up a bigger fuss, and they control you more, and one of two things happen. Either they break you like they do the horse, and you give in and stop thinking for yourself and just think the thoughts that they've okayed, or you rebel and they deem you an outcast of society, where you live happily ever after on the outskirts of the society that confines them.
Right.
And then there's another choice. You follow your own guidance, and you stay in alignment, and you roll with whatever they offer, and you don't worry about them not understanding. And even though you're 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or more, you don't worry about what they don't know. You just know what you know so well, that you live well even if they disapprove of something you do. You don't try to guide yourself through their approval or disapproval. You guide yourself by your sensation of alignment or not alignment. We love children who come forth to teach, and every one of them does.
Absolutely.
And every child that is born into every household is wiser than those who came before. Mm-hmm. Wiser in understanding who they are, wiser in understanding the well-being of the universe, wiser in understanding their own human potential, wiser in understanding that life is supposed to be fun, wiser in understanding their worthiness and that there is not anything that they're supposed to prove. They are wiser, you see. They're wiser. So look at them and see them as wise, and then do everything you can to keep from messing that up.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, indeed.